This is Diablo 2 as most players know it today, and this was how it looked over 20 years ago. Lord of Destruction, the game's first and only expansion, brought Diablo 2 to all new heights. But even prior to its reboot in 2021, it was already well on its way to becoming known as one of the best ARPGs of all time. But how good was this game really? I played the expansion straight out of the box, all to determine how good it actually was.
Alright, let's see how it does. Looks good, huh?
And because it's the only way games should be played, I tried to break everything I possibly could.
Yep, we are dual wielding on a sorceress now, boys.
If you're new here, make sure to subscribe because this is the start of a series that you're not going to want to miss. Now, technically, patch 1.08 was released immediately after the game's launch, but if you didn't connect to BattleNet, which many players didn't do right away, this was what you would have played. This expansion brought 2 new classes, a new act, and some big itemization changes, among other things. I thought this was going to be the patch where I would find things like this, or even this. Come to find out, items like Soul Spurs weren't just pre-patch items, they were pre-expansion items. Still, item abilities looked quite a bit different in this version. Fast? Faster? Fastest? What does this even mean? Not only were these terms a bit esoteric, but they changed in value depending on which item they appeared on. This made calculating literally any breakpoint practically impossible for players. But affix terminology wasn't the only thing improved over time. Some of the uniques used to be complete trash. I mean, most of them still are. But can you believe that they used to be even worse? Thankfully, many of these have undergone some serious upgrades. But perhaps what's even more surprising is that some of them haven't changed a bit. On the other hand, some items were unfortunately nerfed. Inferno Strides were basically just better Hotspurs. This is what Shaco used to look like. Vamp Gaze used to be slightly more viable, and Valkwing was a chase item. Azurath was technically nerfed because this is good at low levels and this just sucks, period. Alternatively, this was the glory days for charms. Quite possibly the most busted piece of inventory real estate was this. The amount of physical damage that could spawn on charms was huge. Rare jewels could spawn with up to 6 abilities, making jewels like this possible to find. Looks like a good crafting jewel. Speaking of which, there were 2 types of crafting recipes in the first version of LOD. The first was lesser crafting recipes, which look pretty similar to what players have now. Then there were also greater crafting recipes. In an update released on day 1, Blizzard decided that these greater recipes were OP. At the time, they probably were, but by today's standards, they'd fit right in. Oh yeah, and every once in a while, due to a bug, you could craft an item like this. Oh my god! Do you see how much life leech is on this thing? Holy shit! There was a small chance that any bloodcraft could spawn with an asinine amount of life leech. This bloodcraft was actually seen as a bug, but back then, and even by today's standards, it doesn't really seem too overpowered. Aside from nearly all of the formulas being different, they were also very predictable. Nowadays, gem color refers to the type of craft, and it also did back then. But rune choice defined what piece of gear you were crafting and was also consistent among all the recipes. But quite possibly the most impressive thing about crafted items in this patch is what would happen when you took them to Larzuk. Depending on the base, a crafted item could receive up to 3 sockets, which made for an incredible item journey, a concept that Diablo games are still trying to replicate and balance to this day. While certainly overpowered back then, today we could create items like this with some insane luck. And Grief would probably still be better than all of them. But if we still had these greater crafting recipes and abilities could roll on items like they could back then, I can't help but wonder, what if? enough of this pining over things we'll never have again. It's time to play through this game the way the developers intended. By that I mean, let's break everything we can and party like it's 2001. There was no re-speccing your character back in these days, so you had to choose wisely. Something I certainly didn't do early on. You look like a D2 veteran. What do you think the best sorceress skill was back in 1.07? Was it Frozen Orb? Was it Nova? Was it Static Field because they forgot to cap it in hell difficulty for this patch and this patch only? Well, turns out we were all f***ing wrong. Charged Bolt was insane. It turns normal difficulty into easy mode, which I guess technically it is, but as we found out, any monster that wasn't immune even in hell difficulty got obliterated by this skill. Admittedly, I didn't know this until I'd already beaten normal difficulty. So after discovering the truth about Charged Bolt, I legitimately started over and played through the entire game again.
We're gonna go right to Hero Editor, and we're gonna open this chick up.
Okay, I reset my skills after normal, but I didn't know at the time that I would be so motivated to play through every difficulty. What you're about to see might look broken, but it was completely possible in this version of the game. D2 veterans might know that you couldn't buy mana potions in this patch, but those players just didn't know the trick. This was the only patch where you could get away with this.
Yeah, we're just playing games as though they're intended to be played, man. Okay, so I have, let's see, I have one rejuve here, and then if I go, bam, yep, we duped it.
But even this trick wasn't gonna be enough to get us ready for Nightmare and Hell difficulty. Our gear was complete ass. You see, runes were exceptionally rare in these days, and also very hard to spot on screen due to their white font color. Some of them even had slightly different names than they do now. Yeah, runes were completely different back then. But additionally, the Countess rune drop table was not added until a later patch, so gearing up there was not an option. And if you find that mind-blowing, just wait till you hear about this. Ariat Summit is a website that D2 players have gone to for years for information related to this game. On that site, they list what are called the original Rune Words. For years, players assumed that these were the first Rune Words in the game, but we were wrong. The actual first Rune Words no longer exist or have been significantly changed. And considering how rare runes actually were, making some of these would have been practically impossible and certainly not worth their cost. As we'd figure out 20 years later, there was always an easier way to gear up.
Let's see if it works. Oh! Ritual time?
Oh my god, it worked. It worked in 1.07. The Soul's Easter egg, which grants 4,000 MF per ritual completed, still existed even back then. It's always been in the game, but Magic Find hasn't always worked quite like it does now. Instead, Magic Find worked similarly to most breakpoints in-game, and if you mustered up over 14,000 of it, practically every item that dropped would try to roll unique. So if you did this ritual a few times, you could farm the entire game for some serious upgrades.
We got him. Oh, there it is, baby! Finally! It's always Bale that gives us the upgrades.
And with our insanely geared playthrough character, it was time to make a joke out of hell difficulty.
Oh, man. All right.
Turns out, this difficulty might have been the hardest in any patch. Aside from random monsters glitch spawning unkillable, including quest-specific ones, this is where the rubber meets the road. But since synergies didn't exist, making hybrid characters was not only easier, it was necessary. We chose to go with Frozen Orb as our backup skill, and it was effective, but certainly didn't live up to the hype that I think most people believe it had. Hell difficulty truly felt like a challenge, one where we had to balance our resistances and have a plan from very early on in the game. The rewards felt better, not only from Larzuk, but from the Ancients as well. You still got the same 40 million experience in Hell that you still do to this day, but it wasn't limited by your level, so it wasn't uncommon to advance 5 to 8 levels when completing this quest.
We got 7 levels off that.
It's impossible for me to go back and play Diablo 2 Lord of Destruction for the very first time, but this is as close as I could get. While some things were completely broken, others would feel so refreshing if brought back. What was your favorite Diablo version or game in the franchise? Let me know down below and maybe we'll check it out next.